Invincible season 3 has officially ended. There was a finale that happened recently, and I guess I'll kind of leave it here. I'll keep it open ended. How do we feel about the finale of Invincible?
Oh, I got a dip, but thanks for having me. And yeah, it's really fun.
Thank you, Serena, for putting up with Riddell.
Yeah.
Blaming me is crazy.
Right.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
See ya.
Peace.
All right. Another great guest coming on the show. We like having guests on. We'll try to have more guests on. We had Briggs recently. We have Serena. And next week, I'm thinking, this is my thought process. We can go two directions. And it could be a direction that involves, you know, cartoons. Or it can involve superhero shows. Either or, we know someone very close that probably would very much enjoy that conversation. So we'll talk about how we want to do our top tens next week. But with that said, Invincible season 3.
Haven't we already done superhero shows?
Top 10. We haven't done a top 10 rankings for the superhero shows.
Okay. All right, man. Lonnie, because you say you watched it twice. I still like the ending of one better.
You're like cutting in and out. I have no idea.
Yeah.
What you're saying.
Can y'all hear me now? Better?
Yeah.
Okay. I still like the ending of season 1 better, but the ending of season 3 is very close to me. Like, Conquest is fantastic, absolutely fantastic. It was a fantastic episode. I overall, I still like season 1 better than I like season 3. But like I said, for the ending episodes, I think it's very close. And the one thing I'll say about, I didn't feel, Santos said this about the Nolan Mark fight, and going back, and because I watched it after I watched the last episode of season 3, I went back and watched the last episode of season 1. That uncomfortability that Nolan, like, just beating the shit out of his son. I'm sorry for cussing, but I think that needs to be said. That I still get uncomfortable. Like, Conk was just some random dude, if you really think about it. Like, I think the familial ties between Omni-Man and Mark, and that really made it a little different. It just made it stand out a little bit more. But Conquest also was like, hey, bro, you ain't need to do all those people like that. That's why I'm telling you, it's like they're both on the same tier to me. I would just put season 1 ending just right in front of it.
If you want to go first, you can go.
I actually put season 3 ending over season 1. Sure, I think the fight was more impactful in terms of how visceral it was, to Omni-Man literally beating the dog shit out of Mark. But I think the fight with Conquest led to something more impactful, where Mark is literally saying that, Oliver, you were right. I'm literally just gonna kill everybody that tries to do bad. Like, to see how season 1 ended, that Mark was like broken, like depressed, sad. What do I do? To where he's just tired. He's just exhausted. Like, you know what? I'm always trying to do the right thing. You know what? I'm done. Like, you're just getting snuffed out. If I see you if you're doing bad things, you're just gonna die. I'm just gonna end the problem before it even gets crazy. And I think that is more impactful to me than the first ending.
Yeah, if we're talking uncomfortability, what Conquest did to Oliver's still a child. He knocked all his teeth out, and then he started ripping, like, he tried to rip him in half. That was uncomfortable to watch.
And
like,
then whispered to Mark.
Yeah. Also, what he did to Adam Eve, and then we see Adam Eve gargling, like trying not to die, and then uncomfortability. Mark bones out his arm, smashing Conquest's head in, saying, "Is this what you wanted? Is this what you like?" Just nonstop smash. He could have stopped like 5 smashes ago because it just keeps, and then the noise it's making over and over and over again. You're just like, yo, Mark is just crashing out, but like we understand why he's crashing out. And then of course, like the similar scene where like he's going through the beach and all the other. Then I saw the kid lose the arm that when he was holding his mom. Like it brought everything together. Like yeah, ending season 1 was great, but just how helpless I feel like Mark, because we saw Mark come a long way from season 1 to season 3. So like your initial thought is like it's not going to be the same, but in a lot of ways it was way worse. Like Nolan didn't beat his ass as badly as Conquest beat his ass. Both his arms broken, his legs broken. You see him dangling, flying. You see what he did to Adam Eve. You see what he does across the cities and stuff like that. It it just like, especially like with the child aspect of Oliver, like Oliver thinking like he's the hot shit. The smack was hilarious. I did laugh at the smack, but then like when he loses all the teeth, and then you see Oliver crying, and like that's also a big moment for Oliver, because it's like, oh yeah, I have these powers, but there's still levels to this, and maybe I should finally listen to what people tell me. Because Mark kept on screaming, "You need to leave." He didn't want to leave, and then next thing you know, he's getting almost torn in half. And yeah, just I feel like the morality aspect of it, how Conquest was like pushing Mark, and how Conquest was testing everybody, and I just feel like that gave like more gravity, especially like how Mark finally, like, a part of him gave up, a part of him that like I need to be that hero, I need that died that day. The hero part didn't die when Nolan beat his ass. Him seeing what he did to Oliver, what he made him do to all those people, and what he did to what we did to Adam Eve, that killed something inside Mark, and we got to see the result of that. Also,
Yeah,
him screaming for Cecil. When last time he was talking to Cecil, he wanted to kill that man, and he's screaming, begging for Cecil. Cecil got a coffee in his hand, just sipping, watching, not doing shit. Hey, I'm Cecil. I'm staying out that shit too. But he's screaming for Cecil, broken bones, and we saw how far he had to go just to win. So
yeah. Invincible season 3 finale, I do think was just better, but I do think season 1 finale left an impression because it was so out of nowhere, right? To see a scene like that of a dad beating his son as badly as he did, they made memes of Nolan for years at this point.
Mhm.
But this situation is probably Mark's first time where he felt truly defeated against something that is pure evil. And the thing is, Mark actually tried to reason with him, because we've seen actually multiple times when Mark is fighting an enemy, he tries to talk to the person. Conquest was not the person you talk to. And Conquest even beat the crap out of him for trying to talk to him, for trying to surrender. Conquest, like, are you trying to surrender right now? And then he just made it worse. Mark came across something that he's never came across before, with so much overwhelming power, with something that legit was about to take everything away from him right in front of him. And Mark had no way to beat him. Honestly, no, not honestly. Objectively, Mark got lucky because of Eve. Eve was the MVP of this conflict. Hey, we made that clip and we wanted Eve to do more. 2 episodes later, Eve did more. She went crazy, and I think we knew that when she unlocks her power, she was going to be strong. But what was most impressive to me is before she unlocked her powers, how she was using her abilities to even hold Conquest back. I think that was the most impressive couple of minutes I've seen from Eve. I've never seen her made the density of air heavier in a fight before. I'm like, you should be doing this more. You should be using that brain of yours more. So Eve was the MVP of this fight because it gave Mark the opportunity and gave Mark the motivation to finally snap and take out Conquest for good. So this was the most important moment, not only for, and Conquest and him are not the only things that happened in this fight. this series it ended with the squids are about to f everything up. Those squid monsters are about to go crazy, and now we have a demon that's going to be looking for where they might be swerving us, but we're thinking it's Mark that they're going to go after. So now we got a whole squid army that can, the moment it touches you, you're mind control, and then we got super demons that are more than likely probably the only thing as strong as them is probably Mark. So it's only going to get worse from here.
Oh.
Not even mentioning we still got the Viltrumites that more than likely, wait, Conquest is dead and are gonna be pissed. So this laid up bigger plot points with a different Mark, with one of the craziest fight Mark has ever been through, and the biggest W Mark has ever had, and the biggest character moment Eve had, and the funeral for the freaking goat, Rex.
And he got cheeks after.
And he got cheeks out.
The improvements. The improvements. Let's just say that.
Yeah, this man.
Go ahead, Ty.
It went crazy.
One thing I learned in storytelling as I've been studying is that you can never have too much conflict, and Invincible does a great job of that. There's always so much conflict going on, which I think is really good. I said this I think last week, and we were talking about it on Instagram. Is that I think Mark right now is going through a negative character arc 1000%. The fact that his whole thing of his story was after he had that interaction with Omni Man in the season 1, his whole perception of the world changed there, right? Like I think that he has been becoming more aggressive. Like I think at the beginning of season 2, when Cecil was telling him, "Bro, take a break," and then he banged the table. That was like that was the beginning. And then Cecil said, "You know who else acted this way?" I think he was been trying so hard not to be like Omni Man that he's slowly becoming him, and I think that's the point. Even the fact that this whole thing about I don't want to help out anyone who I don't think we should work with anybody that kills, but you helped your father. I don't think that's a bad thing as far as his character. Because I think that's the point is that he's meant to have flaws in his worldview, and then he'll eventually learn the correct answer. Like even the fact that he's himself willing to kill now proves that everything he said before there was holes in his argument.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that he will eventually come around. I think a big part of the story is that people can overcome their worst mistakes. The fact that Omni-Man has become a good guy is evidence of that. The fact that Mark is about to make many mistakes is evidence of that. The fact that Darkwing sacrificed himself is evidence of that. The fact that Cecil is still like, so I think that Mark's worldview is a little bit immature. It's reasonable. It makes sense why you want to work with a guy like Sinclair. He turned your one of your best friends partners into a robot, into a monster, essentially. Even though it's kind of cool, you got superpowers now. It's kind of cool, but still, it makes sense. But I think that the bigger conflict of we got to stop these Viltrumites. You need Sinclair. You just do. Like y'all do. Like y'all would be dead without them. Now, doesn't mean that Cecil did everything right. That doesn't mean that. But I just think that Mark has to understand. And ironically enough, my theory is, I know I'm being long-winded. My theory is that Omni-Man would be one of the characters that helps Mark realize that people can be better than their mistakes because he's evidence of that.
I'm 100% with you, and that's why I was so. Even like I said, Mark was never one of my favorites, but there's on this story of how to be a hero. I think is so fascinating, and now exactly what Ty said. We're now reaching the point where he's going to his lowest point, where that entire kind of that entire ideal of like not killing, being this absolute good guy is thrown out the window. And we're probably going to see the darkest version of Mark we've ever seen. And that's when he's going to have to pick himself all the way up to become the hero that he always wanted or was always meant to be. So I'm super interested and I like it. I do think Omni-Man will be huge for his story arc. I think Eve will be huge for his story arc. And I think low-key, Oliver has been doing a good job. Ever since he had that conversation with Debbie, I think he's been locked in.
Yeah.
So I think Oliver will be huge for a story arc as well.
Random, they ain't ready. They ain't ready for what's.
Yeah, you're right, Lonnie. So the thing is, me and Lonnie have read all the way through, so we know what's going to happen. The problem is the author is adding some like new content, so that's why I'm hesitant to talk about some other things. But you guys are right. Now, the one thing I will say about season is how the many different ways that Mark was challenged. The characters who've done about faces, like you said. Shout out to Rex, man. Like, shout out to him for real, because his character arc for where he started to where he ended is was amazing, and it's heartbreaking that like how him and Shrinking Ray, they just, they never got their happy ending. But there are also certain things that I wish the anime, or I call it the story or the show did. Like, I think the Invincible War should have been an hour. The Invincible War is it's a way better comic than was depicted on TV.
I agree.
I think they should have, because in the comic it's an issue, and that works, right? It works in an issue, but Amazon is able to give $1 billion to freaking Lord of the Rings, which it's a bigger property, but to really get a hold of how crazy the Invincible War is, you should have stated it. Turn that into an hour. Show how crazy it actually is. That basically the entire planet's under attack by different marks. How everybody's and even the thing at Rex's funeral where you just show Shrinking Ray. She gets like this quick little scene where she's on her knees crying. Where you should be like, bro, you spent all this time getting us to, and at certain points they were better than Mark and Eve. Rex and Ray were, in my opinion. There are certain points that were better. It was better written. You just enjoyed their moments better. You should have like just commit to Ray breaking down. Let us just get a full scene of that where she just letting it all go and whatever. And I'm still sitting there like, man, I'm gonna stay in my time, Brett. Fuck Immortal and fuck Duplicate. Because sure, she felt everything, but she was never 10 toes down. And Immortal talk all this mess when Mark ain't there. The way Immortal talk, you thought he would be the first dude to pull up to try and get some of that smoke with Conquest. Nah, he was, he was. It was like a Skype meeting, and he's the one dude watching somebody else get cussed out, and his mic is on mute, not saying nothing. So it was an amazing season. Like, I could talk about season 1. Maybe we'll do that in another video. But you guys are absolutely right. It's very curious now, because I know there's some original content coming up in the next season. So Lonnie, I want to say some stuff, but I can't, because I don't know how much new content he's bringing in.
So I have some info on that. So the demon that we saw at the end of the episode.
Are you about to spoil something crazy?
No, I'm not.
No.
I'm not spoiling. I'm not spoiling. So originally, because it's not in the comics, but the author said originally it was supposed to be in like where season 1 was. It was supposed to be in season 1, but he felt that it would have extended the whole Nolan Mark situation, and so he scrapped it. So it's originally a story that was supposed to be in season 1 in the comics, but like he wanted to push along the Nolan Mark storyline, like when Omni-Man finally goes rogue. So like he scrapped that, but he's like, oh, I have that and other storylines that I wanted to put into the comics, but I felt like it kind of took away from some of the main storylines. So is it kind of filler? I guess, but like because he also said like he wants to flesh out the story with the animated series, but he doesn't want to change the direction or really change what the major events. So these extra stories, I guess they're comic fillers, but it's what he wanted. And I actually really I like it, especially like because we don't know like I don't think they really went into like the whole demon realm and stuff like that. So we getting like more lore, and also I think in 2 weeks, no, I think in 3 weeks, he's dropping the War Beast comics.
Mm-hmm.
So that's gonna be interesting, and then eventually that might get a animated spinoff as well, because we all love War Beast. So yeah,
I also think the way the comic is structured, it makes sense for him to have some stories that to just kind of help fill up some episodes. And I'm not just saying that as filler to just kind of make the story go along, because if he's just following the story completely, he'd run through it. He'd run through it very quickly. So he's done a lot of really good things, like to like, for instance, like Rex is a perfect example of that. Rex did make a turn, but they really fleshed it out in season 3 to make you really fall in love with him, to really forgive him for everything that he's done, and then to just take it away from you. Like, Rex is a clear example of them. Like, okay, now that we have a little extra time, Amazon's fully behind us. They're throwing in the money, and we're gonna support it.
and I'm gonna let Santo defend Cecil. But before Santo goes, I just want to say that right now, as we know, Conquest is like what being held down by 400 tons. And if you guys remember in season 1, Nolan, who Cecil admitted is way weaker than Conquest, was able to easily move a meteor the size of Texas, which I'm pretty sure weighs
400 tons of man-made equipment. I need Santo to defend Cecil. I need to understand how.
Before Santos says that,
I'm not gonna say any spoilers or anything like that happens in the future. But
You don't even need to.
Cecil's an idiot.
I gotta say something unrelated. RP to Rex, bro. I was sad.
Yeah.
I was like, dang, they got my nigga, bro. Listen, now for me, I never hated Rex. I thought he was always funny. He was funny as hell.
He was funny as he was.
He was a dick, but that nigga was funny. So I always liked Rex. But then he started becoming a good dude. I was like, dang, I didn't expect they killed the comedic relief. How did they do that?
I felt bad for y'all while y'all was watching because I was like, they ain't ready. I can't say nothing.
That's go ahead, Santo. I had to say
if you're
easily moved a meteor the size of Texas. Santo, you live in Texas. Easily moved a meteor the size of Texas, but he wants to hold down Conquest with some metal. Go ahead. The floor is yours.
I mean, before I go into that, if you're Mark, do you feel any type of way the way Adam Eve was talking about Rex at the funeral?
No.
Maybe a little bit.
I kind of was like, but then I was like, he died. You know,
Exactly.
Why he died.
I was like, my first everything. I was like, that's true, but I can't be salty about it because the nigga dead, bro. You know,
That'd be kind of wild. You're salty about the dude, especially
he's
if you're
dead.
friends with him.
He's dead.
Also, Rex set them up too. He was pushing them to be together. So
And then it would also be different if they didn't have the interaction that they had. You know, they got to really know each other. Like they're somebody. Now, I guess in a weird way, I can kind of see where you're coming from. Yeah, I can feel why you feel that way. But like Saw said, like Mark handled it the right way, and they got some cheeks. Everybody won in the end, except for
bro, if you're salty in that situation,
Santo, I got your back, kind of.
Bro, dead.
Yeah, I got your back.
There's nothing of him left anyway. It ain't like they can go to Sinclair and put him back together. He's gone.
I got your back a little bit, Santo. A little bit.
But yeah, like they were saying, I don't give Cecil any fault in what he did and how he's doing things. Sure, we know how strong the Viltrumite is. He has a packed up, one-armed Conquest in what if he moves, it explodes. He has the sound wave thing.
People, turn your cameras off.
Let
that like costs like $1 trillion to use.
Let him finish. Let Santo finish.
I want you to spoil an accident.
I'm not gonna say nothing.
No, but I don't blame Cecil in doing any of that. In the position that he is in, I'm going to try everything that I can. If it works out in the end, I don't know. And if it doesn't, I still don't blame the decision that he made. He's doing everything that he thinks is possible to gain some kind of advantage. I don't blame him for that in the position that he's in.
Can I say this real quick?
Experiment on a corpse like
Can I say this real quick? Now, Santo, you know I'm saying Cecil, right? And I still am, kinda. Here's the thing. There's two ways I look at this. One, that's not gonna hold him. Conquest will break out and probably slaughter everybody. Now, that's probably gonna happen. However, the only thing I'm thinking about is like they don't have any information on the Viltrumites. So my thing is like when you're dealing with a war, you're gonna have to take risks. Now, this is a crazy risk, but I understand the thought process of we need some type of information so we can prepare because we have nothing. We don't. The Viltrumites can be headed us tomorrow without information, like without us knowing. Which how the Conquest wouldn't matter anyways. If 50 Viltrumites put up, Conquest being there is irrelevant. 51 to 50 Viltrumites, it don't matter. So I get the risk, but you have to take risks when you're preparing for war. Now, it's dangerous. This is a very dangerous, it's a big
Sure.
risk.
It for
So
sure is my
I'm
alternative,
50-50 on it because you need information, but this is crazy. So
but
I
I will say they have an alternative that is workable. And with the what's his name? What is Cecil's right hand man's name?
Oh,
Uh,
The android dude.
yeah,
oh,
yeah.
Donald.
Donald. Just take his brain out. Just take his brain out. You have plenty of technology. Find something to hook him up to it and get information that way. Don't leave him intact with that body. That's what my alternative would be, and I feel like they would be able to do that considering they were able to remake an entire body for Donald just with his brain. So if they could do that, I mean, I don't see why they can't do it with this Viltrumite. And you go like, hey, we can't break open his skin. Mark, can you just take his brain out? We'll burn his body. We just need the brain.
Was there anything special with Donald that gave them the ability to do that?
Not to my knowledge.
That's the
Or
only thing I'm gonna say
or
is
he's
that's
just a regular human.
yes, to the best of my knowledge, yes.
From what I've seen, I would say yes.
And Santo, this is what I'm gonna say. You're right, Ty. You're right. You're both absolutely right. You need the information. You gotta take risks. The only problem is Conquest, and I'm not talking about comic stuff. I'm just talking about from what the show told us. Conquest is the wrong one to try this.
Random, I agree.
He's the
And
wrong
last
one.
the
The
only
last
addendum, the only addendum I would have accepted is if Mark was fully aware of this, because at least you'd have like a subduing factor, a part of it.
Mm-hmm.
I think Cecil's massively
He's
underestimating this nigga.
Fucking tripping.
I
he-
agree. I
He
agree.
showed up and saw when you saw the when mind you, like you said, when Mark, all else is failing, Mark is like, Cecil, help me. That should have been your notice to be like, this ain't the one to try this with. That's the only problem. It could have been the one of the Viltrumites that jumped Alan the alien in front of his wife. Fine. Conquest is the wrong one. And
Can I
that's
say
the
super quick?
problem.
Can I say super quick? Here's the thing. So I don't think he should have told Mark if he wants his plan to go through because Mark wouldn't
Me
allow
neither.
it.
Mark would have killed him. Mark would have killed
Yeah.
Conquest. Yeah.
Yeah. So either now I don't disagree with y'all. When I saw that, I was like, again, you have to take this risk, but let's wait for another Viltrumite to come and do this to them. Maybe.
Absolutely.
Maybe now here's the thing. You don't know if you can get the opportunity.
That's
Maybe
what I'm saying.
maybe
If
next time Tim will come. You don't know that. And that's what I like about this decision from just a writing perspective is that it makes the tension crazy. You don't know for all he knows, 15 Viltrumites can come tomorrow. Matter of fact, and then think about it, 20 marks just came
They were there
yesterday.
yesterday. Yeah.
So you don't know what's gonna happen. You just don't.
So
like
Ty, my
so
suggestion. My
so
suggestion
you
would
have
have
to
been.
take the so you I guess my thing. I understand the idea of like you have to take this opportunity while it's here because you again if 3 Viltrumites come tomorrow, it's over. The planet's done.
Lonnie, before you go, Ty, insider knowledge. I'm taking 3. I'm taking 10. I'm taking 15 before that nigga Conquest, bro.
True, but you know what? But here's the thing, right? I don't trust that Mark can be. Here's my thing, right? Here's the thing, right? I think from a strength perspective, yes, but from the veteran we've seen, some of them are more ruthless. Some of them might not go as easy. So let's say, for example, those 3 Viltrumites. Let's say Mark fights one. I'm not confident Mark can beat one on his a top tier one on his own. The other ones will probably just rip Oliver apart and Eve. They're not going to play around and because Conquest, if he wanted to, this episode ends in 5 seconds. If he wanted to kill Mark, Mark is dead.
Mm-hmm.
If he wanted to kill Oliver in one punch, he could have. You know what I'm saying? And so my thing is, some of these other Viltrumites might not have that thrill to play around and have fun. They might just, all right, let's just kill him and just get it over with.
I hear
so under that scenario, 3 Viltrumites might be worse. I don't know.
No,
I hear everything that you guys are saying, and I'm not saying you guys are wrong. But in that, I'm putting myself in Cecil's position in who he works for and what his job is. At that point, I have a broken down conquest who I can who I can try to get information from, who I can study a living body of a Viltrumite, get something. I need something because I just saw what he did. I need to try something. Like risk reward. The reward is great. The risk is high as well. But at that point, conquest is broken. This is this right now. It is the best point to do something like this.
So my only question to y'all is
pack him up after you do whatever quickly.
The problem is Cecil's not going to do that. He's going to keep him alive to try and get as much as possible.
And that's what I'm asking. Are you guys looking at information he can gather from his corpse, or like you think Conquest is going to sit there and just let you have a conversation with him?
Hell no.
I'm not just
I don't
talking
think so.
about. I don't think so either. Having a conversation with him, at least try it, sure. But I mean, if I can experiment on a living body of a Viltrumite, I'm gonna take it.
That means you have to get him out that $10.
You know something else I thought of? Now, again, I don't know if this is gonna work. It won't work, actually. I don't. If I were Cecil, I would say, listen, man, you like to fight and cut loose. How would you join our side? You can kill hey, man, listen.
I gotta turn this would never happen. I gotta turn my camera off. I gotta turn my camera off. I know this will never happen. Kai. What the fuck was that?
Hey, Conquest, we saved you. We gave you a tank to chill in. You might as well just join us, bro.
Guys, understand, guys. I know this would never happen, but honestly, is this plan really crazier than the one that he's doing right now? Come on, bro, it's crazy. Now,
low key.
To be fair,
you think it's crazier?
Yeah. This is what you're saying.
Listen, bro. I'm also saying. Obviously, I know this is not going to happen. I know he's not going to say he's joining our side. He's going to join him. Sure. I'm just saying that this nigga wants to fight people. He wants to cut loose. Bro, kill your own people, bro.
Just saw everything.
You've done it before. Again, I know this is not going to happen, but
try shit.
You just, bro. There are other. And I'm also saying that because I'm saying the situation is so desperate. So one, he's going to try, because he said when he wakes up, tells everything you know. He's trying to get information about the Viltrumite Empire. That's very obvious. He's probably trying to figure out how ways to keep. Remember, they were testing on Nolan's blood and all that stuff, trying to figure out how to. I think it was Mark. I don't know if it was Mark or Nolan's in season 1. They're trying to do all that. They're trying to figure out how to kill a Viltrumite, how many Viltrumites are left, et cetera, et cetera.
You just gotta take advantage of every situation that you have. The reason the sound wave thing worked is because he actually got to see a living Viltrumite go through something that actually weakened him. Why not just try shit at this point?
Because Santo, when he wakes up and kills everybody and leaves and comes back with 15 Viltrumites, what do you do?
Santo, that's the problem. It's not just the fact you saw a mentally deranged Viltrumite.
He loves pain. You can't torture him.
I believe in high risk, high reward. The reward is not worth it.
The reward is and I'm only talking about this from the show, Santo. Let me turn my camera back on.
From the show. Random.
Santo, it's literally he gives them info or they get nothing. And they're gonna get nothing.
So this is the
you
problem.
Can't guarantee the information he's giving you is correct.
Right. You can't force them to tell you the truth either. Yeah.
So the problem is, like, Santo, it's just the man's so mentally deranged, and I'm telling you this straight off the show's knowledge, not what's happening in the future. He's just so mentally deranged. When he told Mark how lonely he was, Cecil, you saw that shit.
Not just that, random.
Time out.
Mark said, real quick, Ty, when Mark said, "Is this what you wanted?" He's like, "Oh, I take the good with the bad." You torture him, he's gonna be like, "Yeah, do it again."
You know something else? Actually, I thought about this. Has Mark told Cecil and them about Alan and the Coalition of Planets?
I think he did in season 2.
I don't think so.
I thought he did.
Off the top of my head, I don't think so.
I mean, it's possible he knows because he has Mark's entire house bugged. So it's possible that Mark told Debbie. It's possible Mark told.
But also,
Debbie.
Immortal could have told Cecil because Immortal saw Alan. So maybe he doesn't know that way.
No, true. But I don't think there's any suggestion that he's aware, like, in the story. I don't think there's anything because to me, Alan is finding out information. You feel me?
Yeah, of course.
And so I'm looking at Mark's like, Mark, sit down with Cecil, talk about everything you've learned from Alan because he's gonna come back for more information.
Mhm.
Y'all need to sit down and plan. That to me is crazy. Whatever Alan has told you, like, because they found out, didn't Alan find out about like, yo, they only got like 50 Viltrumites left. So
Yeah.
something crazy.
I think
When
actually,
Alan drops that information, I'm gonna say this real quick. When Alan gets the information back to Mark, Mark needs to run to the Pentagon to tell Cecil. Like,
Oh, of course.
like if he don't, I'll be looking at him sideways, bro.
No, so that's just the thing. Like, when you're looking at Conquest, he's such a ticking bomb that whatever information you could get from him, which by the way, the man's gonna be capping his ass off when he's just entertaining you.
I don't know. He might be an honest man.
You saw you want to go? We can go watch the last episode again, Ty. And
he was honest with Mark. He was
honest. You want to know why
Mark,
he was honest? Because he was beating the nigga's ass.
But
That's why he was honest. The boy wasn't.
Oh.
They didn't at one point on the beach stop and sit down on some lawn chairs and have a conversation. Nah, he was swinging. So unless
that was like a
trying to go,
Viltrumite version of that.
And Ty,
though.
there's 50.
You know?
He said there was like 50 pure-blooded Viltrumites left.
Yeah. Oh yeah, cool. Well, that's still some sort of advantage. That it's not like.
No, I mean there's still hundreds. There's still thousands.
He's just not the one,
True.
man. That's the best way to say it. The plan makes sense. I'm not mad at it. Maybe throw some more tons on that, because 500 tons ain't shit, right? The sound thing ain't shit. Because you want to know what happened? Fucking Conquest reached side his own head, pulled that shit out. He's fucking that crazy. You just
saw Mark was able to fly through the sound shit.
Yeah.
I wonder if there was
gonna be able to do.
I wonder if there was a way, and obviously there's probably no pot. If this was possible, like if you could just amputate his limbs, I feel like he would still break out anyways. But if you could just amputate his limbs,
He's an angry paraplegic.
I ain't gonna lie, Conquest as nubs would be crazy, but I feel like it'd still be powerful.
Looking like the Soul King.
That's look. The more and more I think about it, the more and more Riddell's right. You should have just done that.
You experiment on his dead body.
So I take his brain out.
Take his brain out.
Take his brain out.
Take his brain out and experiment on the Viltrumite body.
Yeah, there's so many positives there, because one, you get information on a stronger Viltrumite body that's a pure blood, and you get the possibility of extracting information from his brain, since you've created cyborgs with brains before.
Especially you make that cyborg
spicy though.
You make that cyborg, you make that cyborg weak as fuck. You make that cyborg weak as fuck that Cecil could beat him up, and that's how you do it.
Ain't y'all more? I agree with you, Riddell, but this is more exciting.
It is more exciting. Hey, I hear you. It's definitely more exciting. I will also say this: so people like Conquest, they are a wild card. I don't. Although, do not bank on reasoning with people like him, but if he can't get what he wants, and if he's just in limbo, there's a possibility that he doesn't care about allegiance. Because I don't think he's absolutely 100. I don't think it's like even with Nolan, where he's like, yeah, I'm just super allegiant to the Viltrumite cause. Conquest made it very clear. He just wants to destroy shit. So there's ways to play into something that simplistic, but you have to have the power to force to even make him consider an alternative mindset. And right now, Cecil does not have that power. Not even close. So
but he have the power to stop fucking Invincible.
Yeah.
Let's keep it a stack. Fuck Immortal. All the homies hate Immortal.
Cecil wild, man. But how bad do we think Mark is gonna crash out next season?
100%.
He's gonna have some shit. That's
100%. I think his view on justice just went straight. I think this show does very good in showing that justice isn't really black and white. There is a lot of gray area. I think Mark chose a side. It's like, you do bad, you getting packed up. Like, I'm done.
Shout out Injustice Superman.